was about transhumanism. Now, put your hands up if you guys heard of transhumanism. Anyone? That's a pretty good percentage of the room. I'm glad we have a really good flip audience right here. So my co-founder here, Elise, as well, is going to be talking more about some of the future skill sets I might be needing. But transhumanism, I came across when I was doing my research into AI and sort of the future areas of emerging technologies. When I was at Deloitte as part of a think tank called Center for the Edge, we looked at future of AI. But then I came across what that might mean when we apply those digital technologies to biotech and what that might mean for the human race. So, these three areas of exploration for transhumanism, looking at longevity, how do we make our lives longer and healthier? Intelligence, how do we be smarter with not just the smartphones, but then how do we integrate that? And also well-being, how do we make us happier and live more fulfilling lives, not just longer and more intelligent ones? So transhumanism is getting a lot of traction. Gartner just put them in the hype cycle in 2018 as a category. Do-it-yourself biohacking is sitting there with all those sort of biochips, biotech, brain-computer interfaces, exoskeletons, and these are all sort of looking at it from a 10-year horizon, right? More than 10 years. And these are sort of coming up and people are starting to realize that there's an innovation trigger there and it's going into this sort of hype cycle now. As we find more and more practical use cases for these, it'll develop into this traffic disillusionment like blockchain is going through right now. And then we'll get to find something that's useful in the Enlightenment, and we'll go through the plateau of productivity where the next paradigm might face. But about super longevity. Now, there's a narrative to life where you're meant to just, you're born, you grow up, you're meant to have some kids, get married and have some kids, and then they might have some kids, become a grandparent, and then you're just meant to grow old and pass away. And that's the sort of the narrative that society's been telling us. But, when you look at it from a scientific perspective, humanity is nothing but just a bag of atoms. We're molecules, we're cells, and stem cells are the building blocks of life, right? And so this stuff, if you look at it from a physics perspective, we could potentially solve, the aging process itself. Now they've done experiments on mice. Sorry to put a huge rat on the screen, but they've done a lot of these mice experiments where, using drugs like metformin, NAD+, NMN, and also stem cell therapy, looking at extending the healthy lifespan of these mice, and they've achieved 30 to 40%. And they share a huge percentage of DNA with humans. So this is actually something that's actually working, and there are human trials underway. So 30% translated to human lives, that's another 30 or 40 years, right? So that's a lot of time to save. They're also doing organ transplants where you're essentially developing these in animals and making them compatible with humans. So before we get to the sort of far-fetched technologies, you can replace your parts with these sort of things that, you're already seeing transplants of organs, whether it's, colorectal transplants. But then looking at it from a further field, when we're doing whole genome sequencing, you're turning the book of life into digital, and anything becomes an information technology will scale exponentially just like everything else. Just like Moore's Law, but then the next paradigm of Moore's Law and what that means for biotech. These are the companies that are looking at the whole genome sequencing, and Google, the alphabet, is getting onto this. You can see all the researchers looking at it. Sense Foundation is pretty interesting as well. And Miao Ludo will be giving some more interesting thoughts on the future of biotech and CRISPR technologies, what that means when we can edit the book of life and actually determine genetic diseases and help solve them. Now, onto what the downside of technology is. This is a double-edged sword. So you saw in China they just did a CRISPR baby, so they actually killed them of HIV. But also there's an intelligence gene that's also part of it. And so if you had the choice of having a smarter baby, why not, right? Just the downside might happen. So this is the sort of new areas of law we're looking at.
How's that a downside?
Exactly, right? Exactly. And it's all about how do we adapt as society to get there. Yep, that's the right there. Get our landing page right there, made in China. But also cochlear implants, that's the technology available now. What does that mean for the future of human lifespans as well when we integrate our brains with the cloud and be able to access AI that's accessible for our memories, our intelligence? And that sort of rolls into what Matt sort of is starting to do with the biohacking. You can see he's part man, part computer already. We'll be talking a bit later on. But far future, where we have implants in the brain, that's what it will look like. And that's sort of where it gets to the super intelligence. Now, I'll roll this really quickly around, what Elon Musk is saying. He thinks brain-computer interfaces, this neural link, is going to be able to create these sort of digital versions of ourselves online, be able to upload our digital avatars. But what does that mean for privacy, identity? What makes us us? If someone can create a copy of you, a digital avatar of you that is exactly like you, who does that belong to? Does it belong to you? Can you IP your whole genome? Can you IP your entire neural interface? Well, these are the sort of people that are working on it, including Facebook and the F8 update. We'll actually see what's coming up. Right, and then my time's up, but some of the automated machine learning tools, they're all available out there, and it's all about the speed that we can get to the future. But other than that, thank you very much.